Hello lovely kids, we are reading chapter number 4, The Enemy, from our English book Vistas for class 12. We have read some part of the chapter till page number 29. So till this paragraph we have read that the lining when Hannah went to get the quilt which was made up of pure silk, right, because she wanted to give that to the POW. POW is prisoner of war, right? So she found that the man is too dirty and she could not give that pure white silk quilt to the man. Now please open your book on page number 29, and from this line we will read today. He is so dirty, she murmured in distress. So he is who? The POW, the American man or the enemy of Dr. Sadao and Hannah. So he is so dirty, she murmured in distress. Yes, he had better be washed. Sadao agreed. If you will fetch some hot water, I will wash him. So distress means what? Sadness. So she was so sad and spoke slowly that the man was very dirty, and Sadao said that the man had to be washed, and Sadao asked Hannah to get some hot water that he could wash the man. I cannot bear for you to touch him, she said, but Hannah resisted. She denied that you will not touch him, right? Hannah did not want that Sadao should touch the man. We shall have to tell the servants he is here. I will tell Yumi now. She can leave the children for a few minutes and she can wash him. So who is Yumi? She is their servant, right, who took care of their children. So she can leave the children for a few minutes and she can wash him. Now when Sadao said that he will wash him, so Hannah resisted that you cannot touch this man, and she said that they would ask the servants that this man is here and that injured man to wash, and she would call Yumi to leave attending the children for a few minutes and she would wash him. Sadao considered a moment. Let it be so. So he agreed. You tell Yumi and I will tell others. So we discussed earlier in the introduction videos that they had 3 servants, one gardener, one cook and one caretaker of their nanny type of servant for the children, right? So I cannot bear you to Sadao considered a moment. So Sadao also thought for a moment and then agreed with Hannah, and he asked her to call Yumi while he would call the other servants, right, and he would tell to other servants about this POW. But the utter pallor of the man's unconscious face moved him the first to stoop and feel his pulse. So what is the meaning of this pallor? Pallor means the unhealthy or the pale appearance. Okay, जब पीला पड़ जाता है चेहरा, so that is called pallor. And what is the meaning of stoop? Stoop here, that means to bend forward, right? And pulse, what is that? The heartbeat we can check. So it was faint, but it was there. He put his hand against the man's cold breast. The heart too was yet alive, and he felt that. When he stooped or when he went forward and felt his heartbeat, so he found that he was still alive, and the heartbeats was very faint, but it was there. So then Sadao placed his hand on the man's heart, and that was also beating. So he concluded that this injured man was alive. He will die unless he operated on, Sadao said, considering the question is whether he will not die anyway. Hannah cried out in fear, don't try to save him, but if he should live. But if he should die, Sadao replied. He stood gazing at the man. So at this point what happened? Sadao commented that if the man was not operated upon, he would die, and he added that even if he was operated upon and saved, he would die at the hands of the Japanese army. So either ways he would die, right? What if he should die? Sadao replied. So let's see on page number 29, the last line. What if he should die? Sadao replied. He stood gazing down on the motionless man. This man must have extraordinary vitality, or he would have been dead by now. But then he was very young, perhaps not yet 25. So Sadao questioned that what would be the implications if the man died. He looked down towards the injured man and wondered that he had a lot of energy actually, and because after getting too much problems, or he got a gunshot, after that he was torn by his wounds, his body was torn by the spiked mountains of the sea, right? So this man has a great energy which had kept him alive through such a torture, right? So this vitality means what? That is the energy. Okay, so he said that he has great energy. Now he counted actually his thought with the fact that the man was very young, and he seemed to be 25 years of age, and at that age people do have a lot of energy. You mean die from operation? Hannah asked. Yes, Sadao said. So at this, Hannah asked that did he mean the man could die during the operation? So Sadao confirmed her question. Hannah considered this doubtfully, and when she did not answer, Sadao turned away. At any rate, something must be done with him, he said, and first he must be washed. He went quickly out of the room, and Hannah came behind him. She did not wish to be left alone with the white man. He was the first, she said, seen since she left America, and now he seemed to have nothing to do with those whom she had known there. Here he was her enemy, a menace, living or dead. So here in this paragraph, we will see that Hannah was pondering over this possibility, and as she was taking the time to reply, so Sadao left, and he said that something had to be done with this injured man, and first he must be washed. Okay, so he said that first he must be washed. So the first thing was to clean him. He went quickly out of the room. So as he walked out of the room, Hannah followed him, and she did not want to remain in the room alone with the white-skinned man, who was an American. Since she had left America, he was the first white man she had seen, and she had no contact with any of the Americans whom she had met there, as they were her enemies now, and this injured man was also an enemy and was a threat to them. So here, dear students, you will get a new word, that is menace. So this menace means was threat or danger. Okay. She turned to the nursery and called Yumi, okay, their female servant who took care of their children. But the children heard her voice, and she had to go in for a moment and smile at them and play with the baby boy. Okay, so her voice was Hannah's sound. Okay. Now nearly 3 months old. So this is about the baby boy. Now Hannah turned to the children's room and called out to Yumi, right? Nursery means the room of the children, right? So but as she went there and the children heard her voice, she went inside, smiled at them and played with her 3 months old son. As she held the baby who had soft black hair, she motioned with her mouth, Yumi, come with me. So when she asked Yumi to just follow her, I will put the baby to bed, Yumi replied. He is ready. She went with Yumi into the bedroom next to the nursery and stood up the boy in her arms while Yumi spread the sleeping quilts on the floor and laid the baby between them. Now Yumi replied that the baby was ready for sleep and she must put it to sleep before accompanying her. So Hannah held the baby and went to the bedroom next to the nursery with Yumi. So Yumi, she spread the sleeping quilts or the mattresses on the floor and laid the baby between them. Then Hannah led the way quickly and softly to the kitchen. The two servants were frightened at what their master had just told them. The old gardener, who was also a house servant, pulled the few hairs on his upper lip. Now here, when Hannah walked fastly towards the kitchen, so the two servants were there already. The gardener also, who was doing some work in the he worked as a servant in home also, so that, and the cook, right? So both of them, they were in the kitchen, and they were scared after hearing what their master, means Sadao, just told him regarding the injured man. So the old gardener, who also worked as a servant, he was pondering over the news and pulling the hair from his upper lip too. So the master ought not to heal the wound of this white man, he said bluntly to Hannah. The white man ought to die. First he was shot, then the sea caught him and wounded him with her rocks. If the master heals what the gun did and what the sea did, they will take revenge on us. So we will study up to here today. So let's see what were the opinions of the what was the opinion of the servants, right? So when she went to the kitchen, so both of the servants, they were in tension, and the old gardener spoke bluntly, actually bluntly, what, that's in straight manner. Okay, so this word bluntly means in a straight manner to Hannah, that Sadao must not treat the injured white man. He reasoned that the man was destined to die, right? As firstly he gave the excuses also, that firstly he had been wounded by a gunshot, and secondly the rocks of the sea wounded him further. So if Sadao healed the wounds given by the gun and the sea, then the gun and the sea would treat them as enemy and seek revenge from them. Them means Sadao, Hannah and gardeners and the servants. Okay, so this was told by the servant. So that's all for today. Please make the notes and study the chapter.